Let's go. In and out. 20 minutes adventure.
The Rick and Morty Iceberg. I hope you guys are excited about this one. I've been working on this for about 2.5 weeks now. I've just been really busy with school, so that kind of delayed the uploads, but as for Rick and Morty, a short background on that is that it launched in 2013 with its pilot airing on Adult Swim, and it took off quickly, getting a major following and becoming one of the biggest animated shows of the last 20 years, and one of my own personal favorites as well. In this video, we'll go over some dark, unknown, and interesting things about Rick and Morty. Anyway, I'm going to ignore all the other basic intro shit, save us both some time. All I want to say is that I made this iceberg chart myself, so make sure you tear that shit apart in the comments section. Anyway, without any further ado, let's get into this Rick and Morty Iceberg. So I'm sure you guys have watched or at least heard of the Back to the Future series, and I'm sure you guys will notice that our two main characters are strikingly similar in some ways. And this is just talking about all those similarities and inspirations taken from Back to the Future that are incorporated into Rick and Morty. One of the most well-known nods to this is the shelved box of time travel stuff in Rick's garage, and this represents the idea of time travel being shelved by the creators, even though they kind of did this in the Snakes episode. I guess they're talking about the continuous time travel that impacts the timeline, but I'm not really sure. 200 IQ. So 200 IQ is talking about all you big brain intellectuals that flaunt how truly different you're built because you watch your Rick and Morty. This is kind of a meme that kind of floated around since Rick and Morty gained a following. And just please don't be like the 200 IQ guy. With a show that's as big and as hyped as Rick and Morty, there's bound to be promos with companies, and I'm sure whoever gets paid at Rick and Morty gets paid handsomely for these commercials. And I think these ones are actually pretty creative and interesting. It's not like those fucking stupid TikTok ads that you see that are like the dumbest shit ever. Like, these are creative and actually kind of entertaining. And they even reference one of these in the episodes. They talk about Wendy's, and I don't know, they have a lot of these ads. They have PS5, Carl's Jr. and Hardee's, Old Spice, Death Stranding, Pringles, and Wendy's. Rick and Morty development is the crazy fact that the first draft was completed in only 6 hours, which is absolutely mad to think about. Everything that's come from this show started out so small and was done so fast, it's just crazy to think about. Adobe. So for people making YouTube videos, they're likely familiar with Adobe Premiere Pro. Also, I'm sure you guys have heard of Photoshop, maybe Illustrator, and if you're in high school or college, you might use these for school. And I actually use Premiere Pro to make my videos, but as for Rick and Morty, they use Adobe to create their background images in the Rick and Morty episodes. C-137 is a simple one. I probably should have put this first. Whatever. Take me to jail. Anyway, this is the dimension Rick and Morty we follow throughout the show in most scenarios. And this is the home dimension of our Rick and Morty that they destroyed initially. Gravity Falls is a show I definitely enjoyed for the time I watched it as a kid, and I'm sure some of you did as well. A lot of people assume that Gravity Falls is in the same universe as Rick and Morty, mainly because of the moment where we see the items that fall out of one of the many portals Rick opens to make an escape. The items we see are the same ones Grunkle Stan accidentally loses in his portal. You also might not know that the creator of Gravity Falls and Justin Roiland were actually good friends prior to the creation of Rick and Morty, and this is likely why we see these references multiple times throughout the show. Parodies kind of just encompasses the parodies that Rick and Morty has gone through and referenced. One that immediately comes to mind for me is Anatomy Park, which is a pretty obvious parody of the classic Jurassic Park, and the episode with Scary Terry, obviously a ripoff of Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm sure there's some others, but I can't think of them right now, but these are definitely the most common and most recognized ones. So the intro song, yeah, apparently the intro song is a song that resembles Doctor Who and Tintin. I'm gonna play a clip, but you can kind of hear the resemblance between both of them if you listen side by side.
Yeah, this is gonna help big time with that. Bitch!
Bitch. Okay, so when Rick says bitch, it's supposed to resemble the style of Jesse Pinkman in Breaking Bad, and I can kind of see it. I mean, I think he says fuck way more than he says bitch, but I can definitely see that. Doctor Who. Doctor Who is talking about the inspiration from Doctor Who and all the similarities they share, mainly Rick being a highly intelligent scientist who often goes on crazy expeditions and has a inflated ego. One of Rick's most distinctive characteristics is his burping. Justin Roiland voices Rick, and he makes the burp sounds by drinking watered down beer on set. There's also some other stories that Justin apparently is very method when it comes to being drunk for recording sessions. So No More Waiting is talking about the wait time for seasons. We've waited so long in between the seasons we've got so far, and there was news released from Dan Harmon that they were going to be very much shortening down that wait time, and I don't know if that's supposed to be after next season or what, because we've still been waiting for a while for season 5 in my opinion. Dogs is talking about the show that Justin Roiland made for Cartoon Network called Dog World. We do get to see that episode where Morty's dog becomes highly intelligent, and this is probably a reference to his show. And in the show, there are 2 kids who interact with a world inhabited by intelligent dogs as human pets. Rick and Morty merch. So there's a lot of crazy merch for Rick and Morty, and a lot of it is official, but there's some customs shit, and a lot of it's kind of weird. Some of it's cool, but like $10,000 fucking dollars? Are you mad? Okay, Pirates is pretty short, but it's the only thing that Rick is openly admitted to being afraid of on the show. Prank God DH is talking about Dan Harmon and Justin's tendency to prank viewers relating to Rick and Morty, and they're just pretty notorious for lying about release dates, then surprising fans randomly with episode drops, and kind of doing what's not expected. Szechuan sauce. So after the episode in season 3 with Rick breaking out of prison with the McDonald's memory thing, an insane demand came of the Szechuan sauce episode, with fans at McDonald's restaurants causing mayhem, which eventually became known as the Sauce Riots. Bird Person Comic-Con is about Dan Harmon going to Comic-Con dressed as a bird, and I don't know, I didn't think a lot of people knew about this one, but it was just kind of a weird thing he did. So Eric Stoltz is talking about, obviously Eric Stoltz, who appeared in the Doofus Rick episode as the Morty, and he was originally cast as Marty McFly in Back to the Future. And that just kind of relates to Rick and Morty, as Rick and Morty's kind of a rip of Back to the Future. Rock Band talks about Rick's rock band from when he was younger, and his probably a good chance where he met most of his friends, and the band was called Flesh Curtains. Georgia v. Denver is talking about a court case between the state of Georgia versus Denver Fenton Allen, where the transcript of the original trial was released to the public, and it was excessive to say the least. Later on, a Rick and Morty version was played at Comic-Con, and it was fucking hilarious, and eventually it got released on the Adult Swim YouTube channel, and I definitely recommend watching this if you haven't already. It is so funny. Jerry's car. If Jerry's car looked familiar, that's because it's supposed to imitate the car from National Lampoon's Vacation. Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad is talking about the inspiration for Pickle Rick, which is based on the episode of Breaking Bad where Mr. White and Jesse are stranded in the desert, and Mr. White uses his intelligence to save them both. Bill Cosby is talking about Justin Roiland's animated show called House of Cosbys. After making this, he got multiple cease and desist orders from the Cosby family's lawyers. This is all I'll say for now because it connects to a later entry. Rick and Morty movie. Yes, boys, so in 2016, fans were petitioning a Rick and Morty movie, and so far it looks like nothing has come of it, so who knows if it will be made, but personally I think at some point they would make one. It's kind of a toss-up at this point, but I think the amount of money they can make, they're probably going to do it. Morty Car. Morty Car is talking about the car you can rent from Toro, a car renting service, and it comes with 3 different Morty tops, and it costs $350 a day to rent. Edgy jokes. Yeah, so this one's about the jokes that landed Rick and Morty in hot water. Mainly the 9/11 joke in Season 4, Episode 7, which really pissed a ton of people off. Toxic Fans is talking about the fans and all the shit they've done. Kind of how like people will see themselves as Rick, kind of develop their own god complex, hate on anyone who hasn't been around since day one, and how you have to be intelligent to really enjoy the show, otherwise you don't understand the deep meanings of the show's episodes. There's also lots of things like with the creators. There's one later in the entries that connects to this as well. Darkest moments. We first get to see how dark the show could be at the end of the Unity episode when Rick is about to commit suicide. Then the King Jellybean episode and when they destroy Earth are some of the darkest moments to me. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Alcoholism. All my college kids and divorced dads can relate to this one. So this one can really just break down Rick's alcoholism throughout the show and how it displays his obvious struggle with depression, with what seems to be self-medication, and being unsure of his existence within the universe he inhabits. Rick likes to pretend he can solve anything, but really when it comes down to it, all he wants is one thing, and that's to be happy. Something he cannot solve. It's not a math problem. And he starts to really resent those who aren't intelligent because he knows they can be happy, and he hides the fact that he is terrified of becoming attached because what he truly can't take is pain. He can't handle loss, especially of those he holds close. As much as he may pretend he doesn't care, he does. Rick's self-awareness is all the meta moments where Rick addresses the audience and makes the fact apparent that he knows he's in a show. A theory of the show is that the reason he's so nihilistic and sad is because he knows all he is a TV character. Trolls and Cupcakes. Trolls and Cupcakes talks about a statement Dan Harmon made on his fan base, which kind of coincides with the toxic fans from earlier, and I quote, "I'll go, I ate a cupcake today." And they're like, stop eating cupcakes and write the fucking show, you piece of shit. I kind of feel bad for Dan if this is what it's actually come to, but you gotta admit that was actually kind of a bit funny. Magic School Bus is a theory that our homie Miss Frizzle is Rick's ex-wife and that they broke up because of Rick's lack of care and consideration and just the way he lives his life or his over-prioritization of science. It could have been a number of things, but yeah, this one is definitely a bit more out there in terms of theories. Mr. White is talking about how Bryan Cranston auditioned for the voice of Jerry, and I honestly could not imagine him being Jerry, but that's kind of cool. Psychedelic icon, I just put this in here because for whatever reason, Rick and Morty has kind of taken on this image of individuality, or whatever you want to call it, but I'll always see these things that are like psychedelic in nature, like flags, shirts, bowls, bongs, shit like that. I'll see them all over the place for some reason. I guess like that culture's really just embraced Rick and Morty. Bushworld Adventures are a couple Rick and Morty shorts from 2018 where our Rick and Morty are located in Australia, and it kind of just makes fun of all the stereotypical ideas of Australians. Then it gets dark and Rick starts threatening Morty with a gun to his head, saying he's gonna kill him, but these basically just take on the normal adventures of Rick and Morty, only if they were in our reality with all the laws and things that we know. There's no outer space, it's just like a city and them doing their crazy shit. Non-canonical adventure shorts are some claymation shorts that were made to be their own versions of famous movies. There were like 16 of these, but some were The Thing from 1982, 2001: A Space Odyssey, 1968, and Aliens 1986. I don't really have an opinion on these one way or the other, but they're pretty cool to watch and I suggest you guys check them out too. Why he left Beth's mother is a theory I saw on Reddit where essentially he left Beth's mother on purpose to make sure Beth would grow up without a mother, make poor choices, leading her to have summer in high school with Jerry, which would ultimately lead to Morty being born, and them both acting as jammers for Rick's intelligence. C-132 is the dimension we follow in the first two Rick and Morty comic volumes, and I won't go into this too deep, but some of the main differences are that Morty in this dimension never had a son, and Morty taking the blame for Rick leaving the family. Doc and Marty. So Doc and Marty is what was connected to the Cosby entry earlier, and going off of that, this animation was a protest of the Cosby situation. After Justin Roiland moved past that, he decided to further develop this into what we know as Rick and Morty. And you can go watch this online, it's pretty damn weird in parts of it. Morty does some weird ass shit, and I think there's a censored version and an uncensored version, so there's your heads up. Beth's real mother is pretty obvious, but like a lot of other things in the show, this is the most mysterious elements of the show as a whole, also being talked about in so many of these episodes, slowly building up to the ultimate reveal, if and whenever that happens. This is also about the amount of theories out there that you could make up about Beth's mother. Lost Japanese Airings is about Rick and Morty, aired in Japan on Channel 40 instead of Adult Swim. The dub was removed from Japan's airings and is now lost. But in 2017, the dubs were added to Daily Motion and YouTube, and you can find some of these on Lost Media Archives as well. I don't know if these are all the dubs, but you can still see some of them. Morty is the genius. No, I'm not joking. This is a theory that our Morty is just as smart as Rick, with the main evidence being Rick's discouragement towards Morty's education, not wanting him to realize his true genius, Rick's comment about Morty pursuing science, implying that he had the potential to do so, the evil Morty running his own operation. Morty waves are something Rick made up for Morty to protect him from his own intelligence, much like how Rick uses them. And finally, when Rick says a cocky Morty can be a real bad thing for everyone, which then reveals evil Morty as being an evil mastermind, displaying the Morty's evil and intelligence potential. Cursed Rick Truck. Yeah, this is kind of a meme, but I was looking for weird things to put in this. I found this video on YouTube of a truck with Rick, and it only had about 400 views on YouTube, and after some further research, I found out this has a Twitter, and the truck sells Rick and Morty merch. I couldn't find out for sure, but I'm sure this is owned by the owners of Rick and Morty. Anthony Bourdain is talking about this tweet from 2017, where he said that Rick and Morty is everything. This took on a whole new meaning to the creators after his suicide, and I know they made a statement on this, but I cannot find it now, and if you guys can find it, please put it in the comments. I'll pin it to the top. Thanks. The new Jared is a set of commercials ordered by Subway before Jared Fogel's arrest in 2015, and the commercials were all based around Jared, so after all the commercials were canceled. There are 4 commercials made by Justin Roiland, and he is not allowed to release these commercials, so he decided to put them on flash drives and leave them in random places. Nobody knows the whereabouts of the flash drives or if any of them have been found or not. Rick can't kill himself is a theory that Rick cannot die. And it's pretty simple. All you have to think about is all the insane technology he has and all the times he's ultimately made it out of an impossible situation. It also tackles the amount of fail-safes he has put in place. What I think of is the episode where Morty turns into an Akira. I don't know if that's right, but Rick spends the whole episode respawning in other realities after dying. I also think of the hologram Rick who tells Morty how he can bring Rick back and basically haunts him until he does. Given how many realities there are, you can only imagine how many other ways Ricks have developed prevention for this. Rick Wants to Die is just about Rick's obvious suffering, kind of relating to the alcoholism entry. All he wants to do is escape his problems. He feels that the only thing he wants is truly unattainable. All he wants is to be happy. He seems to battle with his intelligence, like the therapist Dr. Wong said. He views his intelligence as a blessing and an inescapable curse. Microverses. Microverses is about the episode where Rick has to repair the car battery by going inside, where we find out it's actually a micro universe that powers the battery. What we then follow is a trip down the rabbit hole into the scientist and Rick's microverse, where we see his microverse, and then repeat the process again basically. And what this boils down to is that for all we know, this could be Rick's purpose in his universe and maybe less obvious. And if you think about it, this could also go for our universe. Orange Liquid Suicide is about the fact that when Rick tried to end his life in the Unity episode, it was synced with all the Ricks and in turn would have killed all the Ricks across all dimensions and realities, completely changing the universe forever. This is according to the DVD commentary, so this is confirmed. Everyone Dies is the overall philosophy of the show and is referenced multiple times throughout. The most memorable being when Morty tells Summer he wasn't his real brother, and Morty says nobody exists on purpose, nobody belongs anywhere, everybody's gonna die. Come watch TV, which was probably one of the most memorable and iconic lines from the entire show. Being so early in the show, it kind of set the tone forward for the rest of the show. Depending on how you look at it, that can be pretty depressing or pretty peaceful. I think they wanted viewers to take it in a positive way. The way the scene played out actually ended up being pretty heartwarming. If you guys are still watching, I appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed. Since you're still here, please drop a like. I want to build this channel and make a small community for people who enjoy the same kind of things I do. If you want to be a part of this community, please subscribe and stay tuned. I'm not going anywhere. I'll see you guys later. Peace.